Hey guys, I'm super excited to talk to you today about a new Netflix series called Jupiter's Legacy. Now, this series drops on Netflix today, May 7th, but spoiler alert guys, I'm recording this a couple of weeks ahead of time. I just finished watching this season and oh my gosh, I cannot wait for more. So let's talk about it. Hey, Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Okay, before I fully dive into this, I'd love it if you take 1 second and hit the subscribe button. But seriously, you guys, Jupiter's Legacy is based on a comic book, a graphic novel by none other than the same writer for Kick-Ass, one of my all-time favorite comics. So I was pretty excited about this, I'm not gonna lie. I've had a couple of conversations with friends where we all said, is this gonna be too much like The Boys? Is this gonna be the same sort of thing? And even after the teaser trailer that we got, it did seem like it was gonna be like, okay, well, this is what heroes are really like, you know, and you kind of feel like you're gonna go down that path. Don't worry, this is not a repeat of anything you have ever seen before. There's some massive twists that come, especially in the final episode, that had me, like, my mind blown and me going, that's it? I have to wait who knows how long for more of this? Are you kidding me? I mean, this is 8 episodes. They're easily bingeable. They're between 30 and 45 minutes each, about probably. And it's super easy to just watch them back to back to back to back. I watched this entire thing in 3 days, and I could have watched it sooner if I hadn't been waiting for my husband, who was like, you are not watching this without me. Something I love so much about this is you get the origin of the characters. So you start right off and these characters already have their powers, but then it goes back and forth and you learn how they got their powers. And I mean, you really learn how they got their powers. It's incredible the journey you go on with these characters. That's something I really love about it. I love how different a lot of them are. Oh my gosh, I love that the Utopian, I mean, he is literally having issues with his kids, like as most parents do. They're butting heads and he's having to deal with that, and he's having to deal with his kids not listening to him and not taking his advice. I mean, it's like real life situations, but it's put into this superhero world with this superhero package. It's just fantastic. There's all these characters that start to come out and you start to learn all about them, and I honestly am invested in like each and every one of their lives. There's ones where I'm wondering what happened to them later on. Why can't we get season 2 now? This is killing me. I'm probably gonna have to wait a year. It's gonna drive me insane. I don't know. This thing is so good. I was sucked in. There's some incredible action scenes. There's some blood and some gore, and you guys know how I love me some blood and the gore, but it's not too over the top either. There's so much to love about this. I'm really excited to check out the comic and compare it because I feel like a lot of this seems like it's going to be ripped from the pages, and it does feel like a new show that you're getting. There's just nothing like it. I really can't describe anything like it. I'm head over heels in love with this thing. I can't really choose anything wrong. I mean, maybe a little bit of the story drags here and there, but it doesn't even really do that to the point where it gets super frustrating, because they go back and forth between the 1929 and how this group of people got their powers and present day and the issues that are going on in present day. They do it so flawlessly and so seamlessly that you really feel connected to both sides of the story, and it flows well and it keeps you engaged. It's like when one part starts to get maybe a little too slow and you're a little like, okay, they jump to the next thing, and then there you go, you're great and you're right in it again. Now, admittedly, you guys know I love me some comic books, but Jupiter's Legacy is one that I never read. I didn't even know it existed, which is crazy because I do love Kick-Ass, so you would think I would have been following along better. I wasn't, but don't worry, I have a call into my local comic shop. They are getting me this volume in paperback, and I cannot wait to check it out. This thing is crazy. There's twists and turns. You don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, the music and the score, I know I talk about the score of things a lot, but it really, really helps in this show. I mean, so in this show, you go back and forth between 2 different time periods, right? You go back and forth between the present and back in 1929. And the music does a great job of tying it all together. It doesn't feel like old-timey music when you're back there, you know what I mean? It ends up making the whole story one cohesive story, which is something I absolutely love about it. I was super excited because I did get to talk to the composer. Since we did talk some spoilers, I'm only going to share a little bit of this interview with you guys now, but don't worry, I will have it up on my Mama's Geeky Plus channel soon, so you can watch the whole thing if you want to.
Each character, kind of has their own theme. So how do you approach that? And what was your inspiration for some of the main characters?
Yeah, so for Sheldon's character, for the Utopian, his theme, I wanted it to feel like it kind of had that gravitas of being a superhero theme. So you'll hear it a lot on French horn, like with big orchestra. And that kind of ended up being sort of the show theme as well. It's kind of the theme for the Union. It's sort of this all-encompassing sense of like, the traditional nature of the superhero and sort of what the Union stands for. So that I came up with just by trying to feel like, what does that sound mean to me? And it ended up being a more traditional sound. But, we see the Utopian as a big superhero, and then we also see him older, kind of struggling with, his relationship with his children and struggling with the state of the world and what his values mean in modern day society as compared to like when they first got their powers. So that theme kind of gets more intimate and it gets more fragile in certain moments. So you hear it on so many different instruments, like on acoustic guitar, and it sort of goes through many different manifestations. For other characters, Chloe and Raikou are two of my favorite characters in the show. And the fun thing about them was I just saw two of their big scenes and I was like, this needs something unique. Like they're such unique characters. So when I sat down to write Chloe's theme, I wasn't totally sure what was going to come out, but one of her first big moments where she shows her powers ended up being more of like an industrial rock thing, which I wasn't totally expecting. And that sort of follows her around, like this bass line or like this grungy guitar sort of follows her around throughout the series. And in her more intimate moments where she's struggling, it's not on guitar, but it's still that same theme. It's like on a small sensitive belly line or on piano or something like that. So just being able to create something for her that felt like it had that power and that toughness that she really represents, but also being able to interpret it through a more sensitive lens was really important. So that one was fun to write. And then Raikou was super fun. She's got this great, awesome fight sequence in the beginning of episode 7. And she's such a badass character. I don't like to throw that word around too often, but she truly is. And I wanted something weird and different for her. So I got a friend of mine who's a trumpet player to just like make some weird sounds into his mouthpiece. And it ended up creating just like this really weird motif for her that sort of just follows her around. But it's like unique and it's different. It doesn't sound like anything else in the score. So I thought that was quite fitting for her. And yeah, Grace has Lady Liberty has this kind of thing that appears at first on bells and then it sort of just like kind of is reorchestrated throughout the series too. She also has this like little violin harmonic line that sort of follows her around. Walter's got like a cello thing which sort of develops and gets put through like really dark lenses towards the end on choir even. So that one was quite fun to do. Who else? There's so many wonderful characters. But yeah, those were the George. George was an interesting one just because like George and Sky Fox, he's such a character. But he has a song that follows him around a lot of the time, which is Painting the Clouds with Sunshine, which is such a great little needle drop for him, because it's so over the top and it's wonderful. But there's a little theme in there for him too, which is on dulcimer, and it's just like kind of, I wanted it to feel like sophisticated and sort of like high class, but sort of as we see his his narrative sort of shift and become Sky Fox, all of that kind of darkens up. Yeah, so I think those are the main ones, but it was fun to be able to give these sonic identities to these characters and help it morph as the narrative evolved.
Like I said, this show is out now on Netflix. Do not sleep on Jupiter's Legacy, you guys. It is a just so much fun. It's fun. It's intriguing. It's captivating. I can't wait to see what happens next. I spent so much of my time watching this on the edge of my seat. If you have already seen Jupiter's Legacy by the time you get to this review, let me know what you think down below in the comments. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. And later this weekend, I am going to have the full interview with the composer for Jupiter's Legacy up on my Tessa's Geeky, aka Mama's Geeky Plus YouTube channel. So make sure you go over there and subscribe. You don't want to miss the full thing. It's amazing. She's amazing. This show is amazing. You guys don't want to miss out. Trust me. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.